think that in this country, things have become so polarized, and it looks like the only way to love your gay family and friends is to support gay marriage. If marriage law is simply about adult emotions, then in my opinion, from my experience, there is no reason to bar same-sex couples from the institution of marriage, because I know personally that they have the same capacity to love and commit, because my mom and her partner have been that couple, committed to one another through the highs and lows for almost 30 years. However, government's interest is not simply about adult feelings. Government's interest is in children, and that redefining marriage will redefine parenthood. What I hear from much of society, from much of those who champion gay marriage, is that all kids need are loving, stable adults. That's all they need. Doesn't matter what gender they are, doesn't matter even how many there are. And I think I look at my life and I say that just isn't the case. Because when I think back about my life at my mom's house with her and her partner, both of whom are wonderful women, they had low conflict, they were committed, they were stable, they were involved in my life. I loved them, they loved me. And if any two will do, that should have been enough. But it wasn't enough, because every child craves the love and involvement of their father. And I did too. That there were times where I just wanted to be with him, and he could say something that my mom and her partner would say to me, but it impacts you, it sits differently with you when it's your father, because you're made for it. Because kids are made to be loved and adored, cherished and known by both of their parents. It's the emotional food that kids need. And so I really reject this idea that kids just need loving and stable adults. Yeah, sometimes that's the best that you can get when you're coming from a broken situation. But we shouldn't glamorize, idealize, and incentivize a relationship and a family structure where a child has to lose one or both parents to be there.
I feel so much rage when I listen to people debating about gay marriage and talking about same-sex parenting with no sense of how complex and profound this is for the kids. I mean, it's our lives. I myself am bisexual. That is what I am. I find both men and women attractive, regardless of the fact that I did marry a woman and I am in a faithful relationship with her. Even being bisexual and even being part of the community, gay marriage is wrong. Not for, in my mind, because of religious reasons, but because that's not where kids come from. I don't want the right to put other children in that situation. We had the best case scenario growing up because it was a low conflict relationship between my mother and her partner. I didn't live through the divorce. It was very much exactly the way it would have been if my mother had gone to a sperm bank. But I still wanted to see my dad, even though he was never there. The idea is so powerful in your head that there's a father and a mother out there. I mean, how can you erase that? You can keep the child in a bubble, move into a lesbian neighborhood, have them only talk to people who approve of lesbian families. You can erase every single book ever written in the history of mankind that included references to a father and a mother, and the kid will still reach the age of 12 or 13 and know that something's wrong. That's what I say.
I think as a child who was raised by my mother and her partners, I say it's not a good idea. I honestly, for the life of me, do not understand how we got to this state of denial that adult children and gays have to come forward and risk, their jobs, their families, and everything to tell people what they know. Going out there is really scary. You get attacked. Your family gets bullied, harassed, and attacked. The place that you work gets email after email for you to be fired. People you work with get emails with really harsh, ugly accusations. So I think that's why a lot of people haven't come forward.
Children don't have a voice, and they look to their parents to be their voice. And you feel like that you have to go along with what's going on, even if that's privately and quietly. You don't have an advocate for you when you're in these type of situations, environments in the home. One summer day, my mother was at work, and my father came in the front door and asked me to come out and sit with him. And we sat out there, and he just looked at me and said, "I just wanted you to know that there are times when I struggle, but that I want to become a woman." And in my mind, I'm thinking, I've already got a mom. I need a dad, I want a dad. And how do you think that this could happen? Feeling like you're being abandoned, and he's not wanting to step up to the plate. And the fact of being your father, it's a time, a scene in your mind that you don't forget. You don't forget, and you can talk about it, and sometimes it's not as emotional, and then there's other days where you just sit there and you cry, because sometimes you still feel like you're that 9-year-old girl that's just wanting her daddy.
My father died of AIDS, and none of my father's partners are alive today. My father had about 500 sexual partners in his lifetime. We saw a lot, we heard a lot, and some of the men, including my father, would dress up as women on Halloween and march up and down Yonge Street. This is before Pride Parade. The Gay Pride Parade became official in cosmopolitan Toronto. And so my father participated in the gay community to the fullest extent that he could. I couldn't comprehend until my late 20s, early 30s. I couldn't verbalize all of my thoughts and my feelings about this because it's so complicated. We love our parents, we love the people in our lives, and we often care about and love our parents' various sexual partners. However, we will take a very long time to process what we've grown up in, and it will take us decades often before we can fully disclose the truth. I'm very concerned about what is happening in the United States right now. As a Canadian resident, I've experienced living under same-sex marriage for 10 years. And with that, we have seen our constitutional freedoms eroded. And that includes our freedom of speech, our freedom to express our opinions, our values, our beliefs in the media, what we are able to say and write. So I don't have blogging freedoms. I don't have the freedom to make statements through articles or through the press in Canada like I do elsewhere. The other area that we have seen restricted are our conscience rights and our religious freedoms.
When I stuck my nose in to the business of the entire United States with the Supreme Court brief, I didn't really think that it would change anything. I think that we are riding a wave of popular culture, and TV is a much bigger influence than I would ever be. I did it because I just thought about the kids in the future, and I know they're going to say, why didn't anybody say something? Why didn't anybody know this was going to be really bad for me?
I hope by speaking out on this, that it will be noted, that there will be organizations that just everyday citizens will realize that there are children that are saying, wait a minute, folks, let's take a second look at this.
There are 6 of us who filed amicus briefs for the Supreme Court case. Those of us that are doing videos have really had to wrestle through a lot of not just internal pressure, but familial pressure and society's pressure to tell us that it's not possible to not just love your gay parent and maintain a relationship with them, but also to stand for traditional marriage. But all of us see that this has to do primarily with child rights and well-being. And even though we have a pretty diverse experience, pretty diverse childhood experiences, we all speak with one voice about the need for children to be raised by their mother and father whenever possible.
People need to know every side of the story, and they have to hear from the people who actually have a stake in gay marriage. And I don't even think gay couples have a stake in gay marriage the way that children of gay couples do. So they need to hear us.